Hey guys, welcome to another episode with the Scalp Society. We are diving into system overloads today. And joining me today is one of our Scalp Society educators. This is Molly G. Molly G, give us a little
Hey.
info about you.
Hey, all right. I'm so happy to be here. So, my name is Molly G. I am in Madison, Mississippi. It's a suburb of Jackson. And yeah, so I have been in the trichology world since 2023, a hairstylist for well over a decade before then. I've played many roles in the hairstyling industry from, wedding day stylist, color to salon owner to all the things, and all those things led me to trichology mainly because so many of my clients had similar questions about their hair, and it just felt like I no longer could just tell them, "Well, you're probably not shampooing correctly,"
Yeah,
or, whatever it may be, turn the heat down on your heat settings.
right.
I don't know, it just led into more of that deep dive, and once you started learning more, um, it just I don't know, became something I've become super passionate about. I've always loved wellness, so keying it together
Yeah,
really it goes hand in hand to me. Can't
I
have one
love
without
that.
honestly.
And Molly G, one thing I loved bringing you on board with the Scalp Society education and our mentorship is that you are super, super keen on system overloads, system overwhelm when it comes to the internal work and functions of the drivers of hair loss or scalp conditions, right?
Yeah,
So you
absolutely.
use a specific tool for that. Do you want to shed some light on that?
Yes. Okay, so I I love blood work, but I feel like blood work gives us a snapshot of a day. And we think about especially women. I work mostly with women, and I know we work with both men and women in the hair loss field, but our bodies are changing on a daily basis. And so, especially for us women, where our hormones or, different things are changing within a 24-hour period, then blood work, when it shows that snapshot, it's only going to show us so much, even though we see actual numbers. So, I like to do what's called an epigenetic hair scan. And so, you think about you have genetics and you have epigenetics. Genetics are the things that are predisposition. We are born with these things. Um, they do not, but they are also controlled and not controlled, but they are, the degree of things come into play with epigenetics. And so you think if genetics loads the gun, then epigenetics pulls the trigger. Somebody that has something
Good way to
happening,
put it.
you can have two people with the same genetic base, and then their epigenetics plays a role what happens with one person versus what happens with another person, right? Or the
Yeah.
severity of things. And so epigenetic hair scanning is a read on our hair. It's like a frequency read, and it shows 90 days worth of information. And so it's actually a device that we have, and it's mainly Tesla coils. And so I will pull four strands of hair,
Hmm.
and I scan it, and it reads the hair, and it will tell me all of these things where somebody is deficient in
That's
chronically
amazing.
of nutrient markers, and it also shows exposure. So it will show us things like microbial imbalances, if the liver is overburdened, all these
Wow.
different markers.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
So let's break down the different kind of markers in it. Now, you said like different deficiencies and stuff. You mean like nutritionally, like if they need what, like if they aren't eating enough protein or like what is that? Can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, it'll show if where has the body needed to pull resources from. I mean, so for over that 3 month span, if the body is in a constant state of depleting certain nutrients, then it'll show us. Like we always say that hair metabolically takes a lot of resources, right? It takes a lot of energy to grow and produce hair. Yet hair is considered a non-essential. To me, that like blows my mind that
Yeah.
you can have that in the same sentence.
Hmm.
And so we always say that because hair is a non-essential, when something is happening in the body, it is going to divert that energy towards the areas in need, and so it doesn't give it to our hair. And so that's where this hair strand analysis comes into play because
That's amazing.
we can narrow down all the different areas that the body is showing it's pulling resources to.
Awesome. I really love that. Now, you run this often on clients, like if they're coming in with like hair loss? Is this pretty much like a standard go-to?
Yeah, it's my standard. It is not locked in as part of my consult. I give my clients the option,
Mhm.
but 9 times out of 10, it is with every client because so many of my clients are coming in and they've already been to see their dermatologist. They've been, different routes, and they haven't been told very much information. They've
Yeah.
been told, you know, very standard, very standard amount of use this topical, use this medication, probably this. They just kind of write it off. And I don't know, I feel like they're ready for more answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really encompasses, what a lot of trichology is about is a holistic viewpoint, of
Yeah.
every single system working in the body, which brings us to system overload, right?
Yeah.
What are the main like themes that you might see? What are some common themes that you see? Is there anything
Right.
that
So the
sticks
different
out to
systems,
you?
maybe it's detoxification. Are things getting, basically bottlenecked and clogged?
Okay.
Hormones are a big one. So whether,
Yeah.
sex hormones, thyroid, what is off balance there? The gut plays such a huge role. We call the gut is the second brain, and in
Mhm.
some realities, even in the functional world, they call it the first brain. And so the gut plays such a huge role as well. Another one is, microbial balancing. Those are some of the main ones. And then, of course, adrenals and stress. Like, I think, especially us as women, like, we don't give enough credit to stress and
Yes.
adrenal fatigue.
Right.
And then we all know, we know that also the body is one big system, with systems within it. And so a lot of times they are interconnected. But what we want to do is so that we're not throwing a ton of information at our client and seeing what sticks, we help to narrow this down for them, like narrow down the path of, well, we think you should start here first, or we can guide them to the next step and the next professional that could help with the internal side of it while we work with the modalities and the multi therapeutic approaches that we have.
Yeah. No,
Because I'm
absolutely.
I'm a big believer that if we can help narrow these things down for our clients, we're going to see better results and in faster amount
Yeah.
of time.
Yep. Addressing that root cause, right? No,
Yeah.
I love that. So is there anything that, that is like super common that you maybe can shed a little light on?
Yeah, there are definitely a bunch of common ones. One that I love and I really think it attests to how great the epigenetic hair scan is thyroid. Your thyroid, it produces, hormone that basically tells your body ways to operate. And if your TSH is normal, there's so much more to it. There's like, T4 to convert into T3. And there's a whole like system behind it, right?
Mhm.
And so how does it actually operate? It uses up resources in the body to help it function. So there are markers on the hair scan that may be like selenium and iodine. Those are two minerals. And also tyrosine and carnitine. Those two
Mhm.
are amino acids. And so
Okay.
you may think like, okay, those two amino acids, those are the building blocks of protein. We should just eat more protein, right? But
Right.
when you really start diving in deeper and you look at each of them, and you think about tyrosine is like it's like your Lego blocks. And
Mhm.
then iodine is like the glue to like glue them together. And then you have like selenium, which is the mineral, and it's more of like the bodyguard. And so
Mhm.
when those things are being depleted, then yes, your numbers on your labs may look good for your TSH, but
Yeah.
what about the other things that are working in overtime overdrive
Keep them there,
to
huh?
make it that way? And
Yeah.
at some
That's a
point,
that's an interesting perspective.
yeah, at some point, these resources are going to be drained to like zero. You think about
Yeah.
your gas in the car, like, yeah, we're still going, but at some
Right.
point, like, it's not going to go anymore. Right.
Yep.
And
Well,
so,
I wanna mention something too because you were like, you're saying, yeah, we are not, and this is something I'm really big on in trichology. Okay, we are not trying to play endocrinologists. We are not trying to play these specialists. Okay, but we are noticing patterns, and with hair loss, we are frontline seeing things that they might not even have any indication of needing to get support from these specialists.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so cool to not only have that relationship with these clients, but then to in turn know when it's time to work on us, when they might need an endocrinologist, right? But
Yeah.
our goal is to support them so maybe they don't.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely, like, the goal is to stay in a place where you don't need the help of
Right? Some
yeah, through the
homeostasis, right?
resources. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and so,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
love that.
when I see a hair scan like that, what would I be telling my client? Well, I would be telling them, "Hey, it looks like these resources are being depleted. We can look at gut health. We can,
Mhm.
we can even look further." It gives us the green light to either run blood work or seek out blood work through, a specialist.
Yes.
And but hair's gonna show a different story than a hair shedding with a thyroid could be a different story than, like, blood labs showing, like, full on thyroid disease, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're 2 different things, and so hair is gonna basically start talking before the rest of the body is showing even further signs.
Isn't that so significant?
Yeah,
It's so wild to me how significant that is, because 'cause you're absolutely accurate. Like, that is such an important part of what we're doing and why and understanding these topics. It's not to be a full-blown specialist and everything, but it
yeah.
is to be able to see these patterns.
And I would think that those markers are one of
Mhm.
the ones that unless it gets under controlled and stabilized, their hair is gonna keep shedding. And
Yeah.
so we can give them supplements and we can do different modalities and treatments on them to help, like, counter, but,
Mhm.
like, it would be kinda like a
Right.
constant race if they don't get those things stabilized.
So when you say shedding, what kind of shedding would somebody with these struggles, what would that kind of shedding look like?
Well, it would be like, an overabundance of shedding,
Like all
diffuse
over?
shedding, yeah, all
Yeah.
over. I don't think it would
Okay.
necessarily be, like, in a specific area, like,
Yeah.
as more of, like, you just start noticing it in your hairbrush more, and we know
Mhm.
that when it's telogen effluvian, we may be able to pinpoint a trigger that happens in the timeline. 2 to 3
Yeah.
months later, there's the hair shed, and then the hope is that, it starts balancing out again.
Mhm.
But with this other one, maybe they've come in and it's just been this constant state of shed that hasn't let
Yeah,
up.
absolutely. No, I love that. And then so what flags, so the way that this report works is these things get flagged, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so run through what are the common flags that lead to thyroid? You said it was a certain
So
mineral, right?
so yeah, so it could be certain minerals like iodine and selenium. It could be
Okay.
different amino acids like your tyrosine and carnitine. It could be multiple B vitamins, and then if we dive even deeper and further as we look into things like more autoimmune issues with the thyroid, there could be radiation there, there could be viral.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a couple. It's almost like you can go down a couple of different roads, and even with that, we would know, well, if there's some other signs of autoimmune markers, that hints towards it, then we
Yeah.
can also help them push for more of that full thyroid panel, which would include autoimmune markers too, and not just
Okay.
standard. Yeah.
So walk me through this process. So a client comes in, they've been having diffuse hair loss all over shed, not in any particular one space. It's prolonged. This may have been going on for a while. They come to you. They say, "This is what I'm dealing with." And they're like, "Okay, yes." You're like, "I'm going to do this hair strand analysis." You say, "We're going to pluck these hairs, we're going to run them." And then they get their results right there? Do they have to wait a little bit?
I like to give it a good week.
Okay.
When you own the device, it does come back in within the next, 15 to 30 minutes, give or
Okay.
take. But there's more connecting of the dots. I like to be able to take the time to really show the whole picture.
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that on the fly with them. I want to be able to,
Right.
like, really take their intake form, maybe even look at the supplements they are taking.
Okay.
Maybe even sometimes medication, because you wanna weed out, like, areas that could be flagging because medication, even though we will never tell somebody to get off of medication,
Right.
but we can say, like, "Oh, well, sometimes this will deplete your calcium or your B vitamins," or yeah,
Okay.
so, like, being able to pinpoint this equals this. And yeah, just narrowing down the picture of what might be happening. So the the report that comes back with the company is going to give you a list of foods to
Mhm.
avoid. Maybe it takes more energy to break down those foods than it does to, like, reap the benefits of them. Or
Yeah.
maybe some of them are more, like, histamine related or, different
Okay.
some are more intolerance versus it's never like a allergy, but it's
Yeah.
just showing like, "Hey,
Some reaction.
this would use up more resources and energy than it would to gain the benefits." And then it gives you a whole list of foods that you can include. So the other thing I love about it is that whether they do nothing else moving forward,
Mhm.
which the goal is to give them some answers, we move forward with treatment, but
Right,
say
of
say
course.
they don't, they leave with a sense of, like, "These are the things I can do at home.
Yes.
These are the ways I can support myself," before making the choice for the next steps. Is this gonna, like, completely change the game for them? No, it's just one cog in the whole machinery of
Yeah.
how we're supporting their hair
Okay,
loss.
so let's go back to this thyroid client. So they come in, their things flag with some of these indications that are leading towards thyroid, and they have the diffuse thinning. So you're matching these items together, saying, "Well, I think we need some support in this." Is your go to? Do you have any specific go tos on foods, or do you go straight to supplements? What's your regimen with that?
Well, it depends. I mean, you gotta meet your client where they are. Are they willing to take
Yes,
a
of course.
supplement? Are they a picky eater? You
Yes,
know?
she
What does
is.
their day-to-day look like and time allowed? Are they this busy mom? Are they able to cook
Mhm.
food? So
Yeah,
we meet them where they are. We give them all the resources of these are the foods, these are the supplements. But
yeah,
even sometimes too, I like to narrow it down to, really good whether it's really good gut support,
yeah.
probiotic, digestive enzymes, what's gonna help them actually allow
Okay,
the absorption of foods. I like to keep it simple and like I
okay.
said, kind of meet them where they are.
Now, you've brought up the gut a few times, and when we're talking about thyroid, can you tell me what the connection is between those 2 things? Why would you look towards the gut if we're looking at the thyroid?
Because part of that T4 to T3 conversion
Uh-huh.
happens in the gut. I mean,
Does it
it's
really? I had no idea.
I know, and honestly, I'd have to that's like a whole, you know, you could really, like,
Yeah,
dive in much deeper with that, but
yeah, that's another day.
a lot of times when there's not good gut support and you can't absorb because it comes down to what are you nutritionally absorbing?
Okay,
And if what if you aren't absorbing these areas and therefore the body doesn't have the resources that it needs to
yeah.
help with that conversion? There's so much to it.
Absolutely, I love that. You know what I bought the other day, and I don't know why, because I don't feel like I have any thyroid issues, but, what are they, Brazil nuts?
Yeah. They say like 1 to 2 a day.
I try
You
well,
don't
I
eat a
was
ton of
I
them,
was
but, like,
super
eat a Brazil
consistent for,
nut.
like, a solid week. My thyroid was peak condition for a week, okay? I
Nice.
ate, like, 2 a day for at least 7 days, so
Whole
she's
week.
good.
A whole week.
She's good. So that thyroid, I'm not gonna have any flags on my hair strand analysis.
Yeah. You're that client that gave it a week. I'm so glad.
Thank you. I am. Listen, as much as I wish I wasn't, I am that supplement client because, yeah, I have 2 kids and she's picky.
I
She's
know.
picky.
And what do we
All
have
I wanna
time
eat
for?
is, like, Alani's and jalapenos, and for some reason, that doesn't support a nutritious, diet. I'm not getting much support with that. Now
I
yeah.
was gonna say the other thing too is even with the hair strand analysis, yes, it's a lot of information and it gives us a lot of information, but at the same time, like I said, we meet our clients where they're at. You
Mhm.
know? We try to
Always.
pull out the meat of it and we give them the key
Mm.
parts. They don't
Yeah.
have to have all the information unless they want all the information.
Yeah.
But we are just trying to pinpoint we're taking a wellness report and we're finding like, "Hey, this is how it relates back to the hair."
Okay, I wanna, drive something home, which when driving it home, it's kind of like it's not like a quick drive, but we're gonna pause on this for a second and drive this, okay? In like a horse and buggy. That's the speed we're rolling here.
Yeah.
So you are in the Scalp Society mentorship, and you have I brought you in not only because you're a friend and I respect you in this field and I think you're very knowledgeable, but listen, I am not great at these hair strand analysis. And listen, doesn't mean that I don't understand it, but also I don't
Your
understand it
interest just
like you
lies
do.
more in the other areas of it. That's okay.
100%. So a lot of people, I know this is a common theme in this subject is that these reports are insane sometimes, all the time, sometimes. Listen, I used to do them. The reason I got out of them is because, and this is, God, what, 2 years ago now? I would do them. I would get them mailed back because I have the device now. I didn't have it back then. And then I was spending like 3 hours at a night, maybe even more, breaking it down because I was like, okay, well, this and this and this and this. And then, yeah, I was actually giving it back to my clients. And you know what they would do with it? Nothing.
I
They would
know.
do nothing with it because I'd be like, here is a full list of everything you can't eat. Here's a full list of what you should eat. And also, here's some supplements. And they'd be like,
Analysis
right.
paralysis.
Exactly. So, I know that you've put some things together that can help with that. But I'm curious, I don't wanna just know what you put together. I wanna know the deep down dirty on how to utilize this from your perspective, not just plugging it in. Give me the Molly G perspective on what you would like to see practitioners doing with what you've created.
Yeah, I mean, so again, I was the same way. Like I would spend hours on these reports, and then if we got into this field to help clients, first of all,
Mhm,
but also because we were a little bit overwhelmed and burnout on the hair side, cuts and colors.
mhm.
And then I kind of felt at first I was trading that in for this whole other type of
Yeah.
overwhelm and burnout, right?
Yes. Yep.
Because this can be very mentally draining,
Mhm.
honestly.
We were spending 4
As a
hours on a
whole, I didn't mean
report.
like the
Yeah.
trichology field can be mentally
Ye
draining as a
yes,
whole.
that too.
And
So
I'm somebody that I love to seek out knowledge and I want to like deep dive and dig further and further, but I also felt like the guy, what's the meme where he's like, he's standing in front of a whiteboard and his eyes are really big and there's like all these,
think I know what you're
you
talking
know what
like
I mean?
equations?
It's the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I think, and he's like trying to explain anyway, probably like a
I love
it's
it.
used for it's used for a lot of conspiracy theories when they're like, "I've been connecting the
So, yeah,
dots."
I've seen it then. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
So,
I love
like
me my
and
conspiracies,
so
yeah.
at times I felt like that guy at night.
Yes.
And I was like, "No, there has to be a better way." I did a lot of different training and courses and things to, like, help learn more. But then it was like, "Okay, I have all these notes, I have all this information. How can I be able to, pull it all together, but not spend so much freaking time on this?"
Mhm.
And so, they're thankfully with the power of AI, being able to train it, but putting all of my notes together and everything in one place and being able to pull from it when I needed to, because you and I both feel the same way about AI, like the love hate relationship, that like
Yes.
there are times where it tells me the most obscure, I'd like, this is
Mhm.
not correct. Please don't like try to force
Yeah.
your way into like an
Yeah.
answer. And so, I built a platform where I could plug in all of my information to it on the hair scan and it can help, it can put it together for me using my notes and my education and it finds answers for me and plugs it all in together in
Yeah.
a
And
faster
you've done
way.
a lot of education on this too. You've done
Yes,
a lot of education. You've been doing this
because
for a while.
you know, even with there's one called the hair, skin, and nails, and the hair,
Mhm.
skin, and nails report would only it tells you all the flags, but it's only showing some of them that relate back to hair. But I just knew that there was way more that related back to hair than what was showing there.
Yep.
And so it pulls all of that together for us and we can present our client with a report that is, way more narrowed down,
Mhm.
gives us like this is step A, B, and C. It helps with the admin of us because even after we put it together, like we still have to put a client facing report together and
Yeah.
pull our supplement links and there's so many things to it. So putting it all together to make our lives a little bit easier and help and even to pinpoint areas that we may not initially see off the bat as we're
Yeah,
learning.
absolutely. What do practitioners generally charge for this?
I think on the low end, probably 250. And then
Okay.
on the higher end, I'd say 350 to 450, give or
Yeah.
take. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you
That's
own
not
the
a bad, yeah.
device, then you have the upfront cost of, purchasing the device. And so your
Mhm.
credit per hair scan is cheaper. If you do
Yeah,
the
true.
mail in, then there's no commitment, right? But you do pay more per scan.
Yeah. No, that's true. All right. Well, I love all that. And you are really educated in this for sure. And we actually have a whole week dedicated to Molly G, basically. We have
We
nutraceuticals,
have a
which
week
really,
dedicated to the internal side of hair loss and signs.
yes. So we have nutraceuticals that week, and we have well, no, that's a different week. We have the week that is involving the testing. We have in within that testing is actually, and I've just expanded it too. We have the cell well-being, that is the hair strand analysis. You break down some stuff in there for us really, really well. And in the education, I'll paint a picture for anybody who maybe hasn't done the education and is listening or watching is week by week, there's a lot of moving parts to it for everybody to get education any way that they need, okay? So there's a video of your educator breaking it down, right? So you are breaking down the blood work and the cell well-being, both on its own. There's also a handbook that they are able to print out or get sent right to their Google Drive, which is really cool with different, tabs and broken down really seamlessly for us to be able to go through. But this is something now I've been building this for a while because we have a new platform. Malaji, I don't even know if you know this. Let me tell you about this, okay? So
I'm
week by
learning it here
week,
right now.
you're here right now. Okay. So I have redone the homework. We've restructured this program. It's got a major upgrade, okay? Major upgrade because first off, everybody in their swag bag gets a hair strand analysis mail in. Hello. That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Right?
That's
So
like it's
so
$120 value, give or take.
yeah,
Can't remember
100%.
how much it is, yeah.
I know. So you have that in your swag. That's yours. But through the weeks, the homework looked different before in the past programs, okay? Before we structured it because we've kind of rearranged how we did it. We have the clinical study participants that they have. If you don't know, you bring in 3 clinical study participants in this program to be working on creating protocols and all that with us, okay? But because we put that at the end, you know what I built in, and I can't wait to show you this, is I have built in case studies that go with them through the entire program leading up to their actual case studies.
Nice.
So week by week, you have the same 3 people that follow you every single week, and you build upon their criteria based on the criteria of that week. Now, every week is broken down really intentionally. So the first week, you're going over their scoping, their consultations, you're going to get their intake forms, you're going to get all the different information for you to lead up to figuring out what's going on with them. And then you're working through their protocols that you're building each week of, what topicals are you going to use on them? What tool are you going to use on them? What nutraceutical are you going to use for them? And then what blood work might you recommend them getting? What do you think you might see in their hair strand analysis? So I think that's going to be a really cool aspect to this so that by the end of this, the whole idea behind this program is not only are we giving you trichology education, that real deep knowledge of all of these items that you need to use in your business. We're businesses, right? But you're also utilizing it the entire time
Yeah.
so that by the end
Awesome.
of the program, you've done 3 clinical studies on paper, and then you have already started your own clinical study participants on your exit, put all your pricing in, you have all your items to use. Now you have a functioning business by the time you leave. Isn't that like, it's going to be
Yeah.
so cool.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
And I
so
mean,
I added those
I
clinical
learned
study
through
participants
doing.
in.
I learned things through
Yes.
doing it.
Yep. Yeah, and there's also that sense of accountability too, right?
Yeah,
It's like, I've definitely bought into things that I've been like, yeah, God, I just did this past winter. We both did actually. I wasn't even relating it to that, but when we buy into these self-paced things and it's like, wait a second, I haven't opened this in
I
a
know.
minute. It's
I
fine.
know. Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. All right. Well, thank you for meeting with me today and sharing a little bit about the hair strand analysis and maybe some juicy tips for some things that might come up there. I'm really excited. The last day to sign up for the mentorship is tomorrow. Can you believe that? We're already about to start
No,
another round.
round 3.
I am just like, I love it. I'm so excited about this. So, round 3 for this year starts tomorrow, but we run them about 4 times a year. So, if you're catching on to this and it is past tomorrow, which is June 5th, 2026, okay? I don't know what day it is now. You're going to be able to sign up for the next one just by following our link, going into the URL that I'm going to drop below, and always feel free to. I'm going to speak for you because I feel like you're the same way. But if you want to sign up with either one of us and you just want some more clarity on it, drop into either one of our DMs on the gram. We're both very
Yeah,
responsive.
we're such open.
Yeah, we love just like connect. I think we just love connecting and just sharing too. So if you're interested in joining us, feel free to reach out to either one of us, and we'll get you signed up and pointed in the right direction, and even given maybe which education you might need to start if you haven't joined any trichology training. We have all the steps leading up, the foundation for hairstylists who know nothing about hair loss, the bridge for anybody who wants to dive in a little deeper, and then that leads to the mentorship. So, all right, Molly G, nice chatting with you today.